Yo, what's going on? It's your boy, Mr. Locario, the bad boy of the dating game. What's good? So, ladies, listen, I wanted to, put y'all up on something, and something that you might not even realize. And the thing is this, when you're dealing with a guy, right, you might say to yourself, I really like this guy, and you're thinking about him, and you're like, when is he going to call me again? And we went out, and I haven't heard from him in like a week and a half. Or we went out, twice, and then he sort of stopped calling me for a while, and then he called me yesterday, but then I didn't hear from him for like another 2 weeks, and what's going on, and I really want him, and I keep thinking about him, and all this other stuff. And the thing is, when you're dealing with dudes who are sort of like aloof, and who are sort of just like, they'll hit you up once, and then you won't hear from them for a while, then they'll holler back at you, or you'll call them and then they won't call you back for like 3 or 4 days or whatever. You think that you like this guy, but what you really like is the fact that he is not paying that much attention to you. So you have to understand the difference between you actually liking a guy and you just liking his attention that he's giving you, or the lack of attention he's giving you. So you want the attention, right? So, which is why you're yearning for him. You understand? But, you don't really like him. You like the fact that you need to sort of get him in order for you to get that attention, or in order for you to get at him. So you're like, damn, I want him. But the reason why you want him is because he's not paying you attention. And the reason why, you really want him to pay you attention is because that's what you really want, is the attention. So it's not the guy you want the attention. And you have to understand the difference, because if you don't, you're going to be wasting a lot of time with certain guys. Because if that same guy who you think you want starts to call you more often, starts to see you more often, you might say, he's okay, and blah, this, he said this, and I wasn't really feeling him about that, and blah, blah, blah. And so do you really like him? Do you really want him? Or are you just wanting him because he is not giving you the type of attention you want right now? You understand? And that's the thing you have to sort of think about. You gotta sort of really, understand that, because you're going to get confused and think, oh, well, it's just because I really like him. And it's like, no, it's not about you liking him. It's about you just wanting that attention. Or sometimes what happens is, certain women, you'll be in a position where, let's say you've had, sort of like not so good relationships in the past, or your ex-boyfriend or the guy you was messing with before wasn't that great, or you weren't that, excited about him because he didn't do A, B, and C or whatever. And then you meet this new guy, and you're like excited, like, oh, this is a new guy, and he seems this way and that way, right? And it's not necessarily you like him, but you just sort of like you sort of like what he represents. You understand? So you like the newness. You think he's the opposite of the guy you were with last. So now you're like, oh, this is the one. He's the one. I need him. I want him. And what you really want is, you want something different from what you had with, the guy from before. But it's not necessarily you want that guy. You just like what that guy represents. And you have to sort of be careful about this stuff, because what happens is that, you're getting into a situation where you're throwing yourself into situations with guys, under the illusion that this guy is everything you want. But what you really want is, you want something like, for example, that guy where I'm talking about, where he's like the opposite of the guy you were with before. Let's say the guy you were with before didn't, take you out as much or whatever. And then this new guy, he's taking you out to cool places, right? So just because of that one little thing that he's doing, right, you're going to make this guy seem like, oh, he's the best shit since sliced bread, and I'm all in love with this guy. And you're basing that just off of that one thing he did, which was different than the other guy you were with. and now you're attaching all these awesome qualities to this dude who you don't really know yet, because you're fiending and you're yearning for something different from what you had from last time, but you're not really taking the time to sort of see who this guy really is, and then you end up jumping into a relationship with this guy, and and then later on you end up finding out he's some psycho, or he's on some bullshit, or this and that didn't work out because you just sort of jumped the gun because you were just really wanting him for what he represented or what you thought he was about, but you didn't really know what he was about. You feel what I'm saying? So it's kind of like you ladies sort of have to sit back and say, what is it that I really want? And this comes from a lot of self-awareness. And if you don't have self-awareness, if you're not aware of yourself, if you're not aware of like what you're feeling and where you're trying to go, this is going to be hard for you, right? But it takes practice to this, because it's like, like for that guy who's the opposite of your ex-boyfriend, you might say, okay, I notice I like the fact that this guy takes me out more because this is what I wanted, and then I wanted to do certain things like this, and it's good, and I like that. But you're not going to attach that just to him automatically and say, oh, he is the best thing ever because he did that. You understand? You're just liking that thing for right now. You understand? The same thing where if the guy, doesn't call you or whatever, and you want his attention, you just like the attention. You want attention, but you're not necessarily into him, but you want him to get back to you because you want the attention. So you have to figure out or notice why you're doing the things and why you're, basically like attracted to these guys for these particular reasons. You got to say, okay, am I really liking him for him? Do I know him enough to even like him for him? Or am I just liking certain aspects because there's a deeper underlying issue that I really want? I have a void and I want that filled, and he's fulfilling that void at this moment. You feel what I'm saying? So that's pretty much it, ladies. And ladies, if you need any help, make sure you click the link below. Get my free audio program, 7 Highly Effective Steps to Finding and Keeping a Man, and I'll holler at you later. And remember, the truth is inside you. Peace.